This
I think
conference
that's it.
will now be recorded.
Oh, we're starting early. Okay. I better watch what I say. Okay.
Are you talking about tornado warnings or just heavy rain?
Monsoon. It's not really like a tornado. It's just a very heavy, intense, short storm that starts usually about now and it'll stop in September. So we pretty much get rain every afternoon.
Huh. Okay.
Lots of rain, yeah. So I just had a flash of lightning, but it's not too close, but it could be right. You know, what happens is in an instant, it's right overhead and then it gets kind of crazy. So it's probably about sounds like it's about 5 miles away. And here's Len.
I can hear the thunder.
Yeah. So,
Hey guys,
hello, Len.
who's got thunder?
Rick.
I do, but I don't have any rain yet, but it's about to be, and so that means that I put Jake on notice and he's recording, so in case I get blown off,
Okay.
which could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you don't get the monsoons all the way up there in Prescott, do you, Jerry?
Yeah, we get them. There haven't been any real serious monsoons yet, though, up here.
Right.
But it's hot. It's hot. It's 97 up here.
Yeah, I think it was 107 in Phoenix and 107 in Tucson and 114 in Phoenix. Is that right, Ken? Is your microphone working? I see you've been silently lurking, but I have not seen a microphone come on yet, so I don't know. We'll see if a microphone gets activated by Mr. Anderson. We're covering the whole state here. We got Tucson, we got Tubac, Tucson, Phoenix, and Prescott.
I've got some friends moving to Flagstaff soon, but he doesn't have prostate cancer, fortunately.
Well, I hope he's got warm underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Switzerland. They're used to the cold.
Oh, well, yeah, well, you kind of need to be there. It's what's taking him to Flag?
Well, he had a business in Venice, Florida, which is where I met him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't working out, so he had to purchase another business or he would lose his visa.
Oh. Okay.
So he's buying an auto repair business in Flagstaff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Flagstaff's a nice community, but
Yeah.
it stays quite chilly there. I mean, I was just talking to some people that were there for the last week, and they had a great time because it was so much cooler than down here.
Yeah. Well, what are they, about 7,000 feet up?
I think so. How high is Flag, Jerry?
Well, it's got to be higher than Prescott. And Prescott's sitting at 55.
Right. Yeah.
It's got to be around 6,000 to 7,000.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Anderson would know if we had a microphone for him. He would be able to tell us, I'm sure. Okay. All right. So what time is it? 5:05. All right. We'll wait a couple more minutes and see who else comes in. We have a good quorum here. Okay. Who just arrived? Jim Kubat. Okay. All right, that makes the score Arizona 4, Connecticut 2.
That's right.
Oh,
And
okay.
Sylvester just showed up.
Hey, Sylvester.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello, Sylvester.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Jim Kubat.
Pardon me, I'm getting oriented. I'm going to mute myself for a minute.
Okay, don't worry, take your time. Take your time.
Jim, make sure your ceiling light is not in your camera view.
Yeah, I got to move that.
We're all gonna have to put sunglasses on.
Oh boy. Peter, I put your Maui group. I included your Maui group Inspire posting this week.
Good, thank you.
So I don't know why I don't do it. I should always do it. I mean, I made it clear it was for County of Maui residents only, but and for men only, County of. But I don't know why it's never occurred to me to put it on there, but I did put it on today. So that's that should be good.
You know, we have Mark Schultz coming in October to do a talk here on Maui.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm going to meet with his assistant, Elizabeth Graves, tomorrow when I see Dr. Turner, and come out whether we're going to do it on men's health or whether we're going to do it just prostate cancer. We don't know. We're working it out. But Pacific Cancer Foundation is doing the major legwork on it.
oh, okay. Can we get?
He's going to be on Kauai for vacation, so he's agreed to come over here for a day it's going to be the 15th of October, middle of October.
Can we get any ANCAN kudos or not?
I don't know. We'll see. We're just in the planning stages of it.
Okay. Well, that would be very nice.
Let you know what's going on.
Okay. Peter, did you watch his men's health?
Yes, it was excellent. He's also got a great series of short 8-10 minute videos on all different things prostate. If you go to the PCR website, they all come up there. The short YouTube videos on anything, side effects to different things. He does a good job. He's pretty passionate about this.
All right. Let's get going here. I'm going to do a roll call because I think I've got everybody on here. So we've got Jake, Dennis Correa, Jerry Pelfrey, Peter Kafka, Jim Ward, Ken Anderson, Larry Fish, then Sierra, Les Shelderup, Paul Frieda, Jim Kubat, and Sylvester Mann. Anyone I missed?
Jim St. James is going to be on, but he's going to be a little bit late. He called me from town half an hour ago.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, well, I'll write him down now in case I miss him. Okay, so we don't have anybody new, and we don't have anybody who hasn't been with us for a long period of time. So I'm just going to start at the top and see who would like some time today, and then we'll see where that leads us. Okay, I'll start with Jake, because he's always at the top of the list.
As it should be. But no,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to my record.
Are you sure? I always have to check with you.
These poor guys are sick of hearing about me. Give them a break.
Okay. Peter, I'm getting some feedback from you, so I'm just going to mute you and then unmute yourself if you need to speak. Like right now, Peter, do you have anything that you'd like to bring up?
No, I don't, but I turned my volume way down, so it might be better now.
Okay. Okay. Dennis, do you have anything you'd like to bring up?
I just have a quick pharmacist question for Len.
Okay. Okay. Is there an extra charge for pharmacy questions, Len?
Nope, it's all gratis.
All in the price? Okay.
Put your white coat on, Len.
What's that?
Put your white coat on.
Oh,
Jerry Pelfrey, is there anything you'd like to talk about tonight?
No, everything's the same. So I'm waiting for blood work and another meeting a week from today at Mayo.
Okay. Okay. Jim Ward, anything for you tonight?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
In terms of questions, I mean, I can give a quick update. I'd be happy to give a quick update based on our last call.
Yeah, because we kind of left you in the lurch at the last time we spoke to you, so you better tell the guys how you resolve that.
Yeah, no, happy to do that. Happy to do that.
Yeah, I felt so bad I called you in the next day because I thought I'd thrown him for a loop. Now, does Mr. Anderson have his microphone on yet? Ken, are you there? Yes.
So
Yes.
I got my labs back. I talked to Paul Korn, and I can update you for sure.
Okay. Larry Fish, anything you'd like to talk about?
Sorry, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Nothing today.
Okay. Okay. Len, anything for you?
nothing for me, Rick. Apparently, I'm the pharmacist on call tonight, so I'll be busy.
Okay. 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 Les Shelderup, anything that you'd like to speak about tonight?
Maybe just a quick one. Yes, thank you.
Okay, you got it. Paul Frieder, anything for you?
Yeah, I have an update and a quick question.
Perfect. Jim Kubat, would you like to have a little chat with us tonight?
Yeah, I have an update and a question also.
Okay. Sylvester, anything for you?
No, thank you.
Okay. And I've got Jim St. James down here. We'll see when he comes on. I'll check in with him when he arrives.
Yeah, he has
Okay.
some questions.
He does have some questions?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then I've put a tick by him, so I know. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 people. Okay, that's fine. We should be just fine. So we'll. Oh, I think Len just shut off his camera. He must have gone to get his white coat. So,
I'm still here.
Oh, I thought you'd gone to get your coat. So that's okay. Dennis.
Yeah.
Ask him quick before he leaves.
Okay.
Get your question in, man.
Yeah. My Zytiga comes from mail order specialty pharmacy. And started last year, I got a shipment. They sent it UPS, 2-day delivery, I guess it is. And when I got it last summer, I noticed the bottle was hot. So I've ordered now, I've started having them ship it to me in a little styrofoam package about the size of a little 6-pack cooler, I guess, with some ice packs in it. So I got one a couple of days ago and opened it up, and everything was warm inside of the cooler, and the ice pack had melted or ruptured because everything was wet in there. So I quickly, grabbed the bottle out of there, which was all, sealed up and everything else. No problem with that. And then I grabbed the gel ice pack, which was leaking, and the thing felt hot. So I took a thermometer and I put the gel pack right around the thermometer, and it was 105 degrees, which was about what the temperature was out here. And really, I have no way. It comes from someplace in Ohio, and the literature that I get on the Zytiga says store in a cool, dry place. So obviously, I was concerned, and I did call the farmer, talk to the pharmacist at Humana Specialty Pharmacy, and it has to do basically with the integrity of the drug. And he seemed to think as long as it wasn't crumbling or something like that, that would be okay. So I just wonder what your thoughts might be. I don't know. He didn't really have any explanation beyond that about the integrity of the drug. They were when I requested the cooler pack, and I said, maybe you put a thing of dry ice in there. They had called me back and said that their pharmacist said they didn't want to do that because of you're not supposed to freeze it either. So I guess I just have this. They told me it'd be okay. I opened it up, broke the seal under the cap and everything was intact. But I'm just curious. I mean, he didn't have any clue about how long could that drug be exposed to that temperature. Is it just a physical thing that it looks like? And just wonder what you would think about that.
Yeah, that's. I'm afraid that's a question that you need to direct to the manufacturer. They have all the stability data on how long a drug can remain stable at different temperatures. That's not information that I would have access to. When you opened the bottle, did the pills themselves feel hot?
They felt warm.
Warm?
Yeah, just warm. But they looked good. They weren't, crumbling or anything.
Yeah.
It's just a kind of a curiosity question I
Yeah.
have. I'm pretty sure it's okay, but
yeah, I suspect it is okay, but just for peace of mind, you should call the manufacturer and
yeah, that's the other question is Janssen, I believe, is the manufacturer of the Zytiga, and
yeah.
I guess they just ship that in bulk to these compound pharmacies, so-called specialty pharmacies, because I can't get it from a local supply right here close by. So that's why I do the mail order. But when they get this, I guess all they do is repack. They get them in bulk, and then they just repackage it, put a label on it, and charge you a lot of money.
I don't think so. I think Janssen bottles them and ships them, but they'll ship them in bulk, but they'll be bottled and ship them that way to the specialty pharmacies.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with Rick. That's probably the way it's done. It's not as if it needs any special compounding that a special pharmacy would perform.
I mean, the reason it comes from the specialty pharmacy is because all these expensive specialty drugs are all sent through the specialty pharmacies, because I think it's a different insurance situation, and so they're handled differently. I don't think it's done from the standpoint of how they're packaged or compounded or anything like that.
Dennis, this is Peter. One way you can deal with this and safeguard it, which I did a couple of times with Zytiga, is have the specialty pharmacy ship it to your local pharmacy and then just pick it up there. Instead of shipping it to you, have them ship it to your local pharmacy and then just go and pick it up. They'll do that.
Yeah, that might help too. Depending, it comes in UPS, and those trucks are not air conditioned or anything, and so it could be on air all. And we're on the other problem is we're on the end of the drop. Where the UPS where we live. Apparently, sometimes you get here 8 o'clock at night. Sometimes.
Yeah, if you have a pharmacy that you usually deal with, just have them ship it to there and just pick it up.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not like it sits outside. I wait for it. I know when it's coming. I wait for it. As soon as the truck comes, I grab it from them and bring it in the house. It doesn't sit outside here, but I don't know. It could help. Yeah.
Dennis, this is
Yep.
Jake. I have a feeling that it's probably not an issue with Zytiga. I get my medicine from a specialty pharmacy too. And when I was getting the Xtandi, there's a soft gel. They used to, during the summertime, they would send it in styrofoam with the gel packs and everything because they were worried about the heat affecting it. But this first shipment I got of my Zytiga that I got just a few days ago just came in a regular package. So I suspect that means that they know that that's not an issue. Temperature's not as big of an issue as it is with Xtandi.
Yeah, he told me it would be more of an issue if it was a capsule or a gel thing like you get. You know, those mine I think is it's like I would call it a caplet. You know, it has a hard finish on the outside of it.
Right.
It's not like the prednisone, but you still, you know, it's designed not to be cut or anything like that, not to be crushed or have to take it as in its entirety. So it's not as subject to deterioration, I guess.
I'm just saying that, you know, my farm, I don't have the Humana, I have Alliance RX, but they during the summertime they always shipped my Xtandi in a styrofoam case, and this time they did not do the Xtandi or the Zytiga, the abiraterone generic. So I think that they know. I'm just saying that this probably means that they know that it's not an issue.
Yeah.
The abiraterone.
Well, I wouldn't even question it if, you know, the gel packs that they put in there had not ruptured. Because that's what they've done before, and it was fine.
So Dennis, I would suggest, I'd endorse what Len said and suggest you call the technical line on for Janssen. It shouldn't be too difficult to do.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, it's good. It's a good question, and I know it's an issue that a lot of you guys face. So it's certainly worth airing. Can Len take his coat off now, Dennis?
Take the white lab coat off, yeah.
I changed my shirt, you noticed.
I did notice, yes. I did notice.
The other one was too warm.
Oh, okay. I hate to say it, Len, but you might be in training to go back on ADT.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on. And Jim St. James, I saw you came in.
Yeah.
And no problem. And I understand you have a few questions for us.
Oh, yeah, got a couple. I finished.
Okay.
I finished.
Hold on to them, and we'll come back to you pretty soon.
No problem.
Okay. Jim Ward, tell us what decisions you're making as to the type of radiation that you're going to undergo. Are you with us?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. I just had my, it was muted. I guess just to back up the bus, I think as many people know on the call, I was tentatively set to move forward with radiation therapy, IMRT at the University of Kansas. but without the placement of the fiducial markers. And when I mentioned that kind of raised a flag for Rick and Len and some others, and basically there was enough concern there, and that was supplemented with a really helpful article that Len sent me, just kind of talking about fiducial markers. I became pretty quickly convinced that I needed to do that treatment with the fiducial markers. So yeah, even though I was literally just a handful of days away from starting the treatment at KU, I don't think it was anything. I wouldn't call it a loop thing. It was just kind of divine intervention. So kind of cut to the chase. I am going to start. I'm actually going to be in Houston next week to have the fiducial markers placed, to do a sim, and then the radiology oncologist there is she's going to work on the treatment plan, and I'm tentatively scheduled to start that first treatment on August 6th. So I'm very thankful to Rick and Len and others who weren't bashful at all about voicing their concern about not using the fiducial markers. So I feel much better about the path that I'm on. I never felt all that comfortable, without going into the details. I never felt all that comfortable going forward with KU. There was just something about it, the process, that kind of left me unsure. And this has just really reinforced, I think I'm making the right decision here. So that's the update there. The only other thing I'll add is just, I kind of voiced this to Ken the other day, that, even though I get along really well with my in-laws and my mother-in-law in particular, there's kind of inevitably some frustration that you encounter when, concerned family members, even though they're coming from a good place, try to talk about things they don't know anything about. So I was recently, I was at a gathering that included my mother-in-law and somebody else in her family who happens to be a nurse, and that those two were, just convinced that I look yellow and I must have jaundice. And as I told Ken, I said that's kind of one of the reasons I don't go around telling everybody that I have this advanced prostate cancer, because everybody starts looking at you funny and looking at you different and studying you for, maladies and problems that you don't even have. So that was just, it was one of those things,
So I do want to comment on that, though, Jim, because I'm just trying to think, when did you start? You started your Zytiga in March. When did you start your Lupron? January.
January. That's correct.
Yeah. A couple of things, and this is from my own personal experience. I did have liver issues. Slight, but I had liver issues. So my ALT and my AST were raised, and somebody else, I forget who it was, but recently had similar issues as a result.
That was me. That was actually me.
Oh, it was you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, they may be onto something, and it's something you should raise with Paul Korn, because it could be that your liver has been impacted, especially if your ALT and your AST were high. When was the last time you had them tested, the ALT and the AST?
It was in late June, about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they had come down into within range, within the range.
Okay. I felt, I know I've said this on this call before, but I felt liverish, which is a word that doesn't really translate into American English, but I did feel liverish the whole time I was on the drug. And it does affect some people. It's listed in the Lupron insert as I think are less than 5%, but it does affect some people. So, you know, it wouldn't hurt to raise it with one of your docs just to make sure you don't have an issue there. And you don't have any anemia issues either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not to dwell too much on it, but I don't know that much about jaundice other than what I read on the internet. And it seems like it happens due to an excess of the bilirubin, or maybe having too much or having too little. But you know, in terms of the test results, in terms of the screenings and all that, you know, the bilirubin has always been within range.
Okay.
So there's that, but I guess on the anemia side of things, that's on the red blood count, right? That's kind of what you focus on there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the white, the red and the white. Yeah, the blood counts.
Yeah. So what I can tell you there is, you know, the red blood count has been you know, consistently within range. White blood count also, you know, also within range.
And the
so
hemoglobin?
I don't know.
And your hemoglobin, HMG?
Yeah, hemoglobin all within range.
Okay. Well,
yeah, so I don't know.
Okay, I mean, it's probably not worth bothering about. And you're absolutely right. You know, you tell somebody you're sick, and then they look for all these signs. Let me open it up to people that might want to say something to you about your decisions, and your treatment path. Anybody want to contribute? Ken or Len or somebody like that?
Well, your blood results sound good, Jim. I think you really don't have much to worry about. If your liver enzymes, I think did you mention that they were a little bit elevated?
They were initially when I was, you know, like right after I went on the Zytiga. Sorry, I was trying to look them up.
But then they went down?
Yeah, then they went down. So
yeah, that's kind of typical. That happens a lot, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, they've been within the range since early June. I mean, they, you know, it was mainly the ALT that went up. You know, like, so I started the Zytiga in March, where I was within range, you know, and then in late April, it was almost 4 times, you know, the upper limit. So, but it's gone down to the last test on June 27th. It's within range. So, yeah, I think it's gone back down, and hopefully it's going to stay down.
Okay. Well, look, we wish you every success with the markers. By the way, putting in the fiducial markers. I mean, I didn't even notice it. I thought Shinohara was giving me the anesthetic, local anesthetic, because I felt a little pinch, and I said, "When are you going to put the markers in?" And he said, "I've done it." I said, "Wow, thank you very much." So you know, it's really minor, and I'm glad you're on your way, and I think we're all glad that the treatment's being centered around MD Anderson, because you can't do much better than that.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate the support and the strong nudge.
It's our pleasure. We have somebody on the phone, and I want to welcome someone else who's arrived, but I just want to make sure there's nobody else that wants to say anything to the board before we move on.
Yep, just one thing. I know Jim's decided to go to Anderson, but you know, finding a place to stay for 2 months is going to be a task. I know his sister lives there, but if in fact we can help find accommodations, it'd be great. So once you get your dates, Jim, let us know. And I'll reach out to clients and see if there's anything.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a safe bet that it's going to start. You know, I'm going to need a place to stay starting in the first week in August, and I've been doing some contacting some of those kind of temporary housing places that, you know, are furnished and kind of fully stocked, and yeah, they don't come cheap, but that's what I'm looking at right now.
Is somebody on the telephone? Would you care to identify yourself? Just joined a few minutes ago.
Okay. All right. No,
Hey,
all right.
guys, if you're not going to be talking, please mute yourselves. We're having a lot of feedback. It's hard to keep track, and just if you know you're not going to talk, just mute yourself, and then when you're ready to talk, just unmute yourself if you would. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so we have somebody on the phone. You're very welcome to listen. So that you would like to identify, or you have a question, just pipe up. You have a question and you don't want to identify, feel free to pipe up too. And we have somebody, John, who joined us. John,
hey guys, can you hear me?
We can.
Great. I found you guys on a message board just about 5 or 10 minutes ago, and I was anxious to I've never been in a support group before. I'm 45 years old. I live in New York City. I went for an annual physical 2 months ago. I'm in pretty good shape, and I got a call from my doctor, and I'd never taken a PSA test exam before for whatever reason, and they just never gave it to me. I didn't know anything about it. And he gave me a call, and he said, we have a high reading. This is my GP. And I said, okay, I don't even know what a PSA exam, but what is the normal reading? He said between 0 and 2. And I said, what is mine? And he said 33. So it was quite shocking. Within 2 weeks, I did a DRE, I did an MRI and a biopsy, and here I am. So I'm a bit of an anomaly, guys, because I haven't really told people this, and I've been treated and seen at Sloan and Mount Sinai and Cornell Well in New York, and no one's been able to see a case. My Gleason is deemed to be a 6 and 1/7, but no one can really, and scans are clear according to the CAT scans and MRIs, but no one's been able to really determine why my PSA is in the 30s. And that's where I'm at here. I'm actually scheduled to get a PSMA test. I think I saw something on the chat board about that on Monday, but that's where I'm at.
Okay. So couple of things, John. First of all, welcome. And
thank you.
You're very welcome. And I think you solved the problem of the mystery caller, because we see that you are online and also on the phone. So
okay,
that's okay. Don't worry about it. But we now know who caller number 3 is, Jake. It's John.
Okay.
So we can certainly guide you. We run, I should tell you up front, we run 2 groups. We run this group, and then we run a group for people with low and intermediate disease. And you sort of fall in between the cracks, because the 33 puts you as a high risk. that would make you a high-risk disease. The 3+3 and the 1 3+4 would probably push you into the other group, which meets next Monday. But since we have you here, we'll spend a little bit of time. Our only concern with having newbies like yourself on this call is that some of the guys on this call have fairly advanced disease. And so we're sensitive to that because your disease may turn out to be very treatable. There's a lot of reasons why PSA can be raised. And has your PSA been tested again since the original 33?
Yes, 3 times. It's 28 now.
Right.
I made quite a few lifestyle changes, and I apologize. And praying for the guys on here that I have a more advanced, potentially more advanced disease. But my prostate's normal size. I am aware of some of the PSA levels that can be raised due to prostatitis and things like this. I'm pretty well educated. I've been, as we all have encompassed our life in this and gotten educated. But I think that's been ruled out. So I don't want to take away some of the other times that for the other guys on here, but
no, that's fine. You don't need to. Don't you worry about the time. We'll cut you off when we need to go to somebody else. But it is a puzzler, and I mean we do know of occasionally we'll find people with 3+3 disease and maybe a tiny bit of 3+4 or even just 3+3 disease who have more extensive issues, but it's really, really rare. I mean, a huge study at Mayo many years ago found less than half of 1% of people with 3+3 disease had the type of disease that went on to spread. And most likely that was because the biopsies weren't good enough and they never found the 4 when they did all of the biopsies. But since we know you have a little bit of 4, how much disease was in your prostate? How many cores did they take and how many were positive?
It was an MRI-guided biopsy. They took 14 and 7 of 14 came back with the disease, and 2 of the 14 out of the 7 had the 3+4.
Okay, and where were they? Do you know where they were? Were they in the base or the apex?
I think they ran from the base to the apex, actually.
Okay, so if you have 3+4 in the base, that's not so good. Because the base
I actually don't know that. Yeah.
So that's not the greatest. Let me. We'll spend a little bit of time. And I should ask you. So who's your quarterback here? Memorial Sloan Kettering or Mount Sinai or Weill Cornell?
Yeah. So there's a guy Tawari at Mount Sinai who I originally went to, and I felt very much like a number with him. And he gave me about a 7-minute conversation and said let's cut it out. Right. And then I went to the urologist at Cornell that happens to be my father's, and he spent a lot more time with me and decided to enroll me into this PSMA clinical trial, which isn't really a clinical trial, but it's not approved by the FDA, to get a really good idea of what's outside the prostate, if there is anything. And and then I went to an oncologist at Sloan who agreed and going to sort of guide me there. So I'm sort of like I'm in training camp with 2 quarterbacks vying for the position, but I'm leaning towards Sloan.
Who did you see at Sloan?
His name is Dr. Morris. He's the oncologist, but I have an appointment with Dr. Eason in a few weeks after the PSMA test. Okay, so Eason's great, and Morris is great if you can get his attention. I'm impressed you managed to get an appointment with Mike Morris, because it's not easy to do. Yeah, no, it's not easy to do. We usually direct to a couple of other people who we really like there, but if you see Morris and
was Morris puzzled, or does he have any thoughts as to what might be
Yeah, I
going
mean, he was. I was blown away with his brilliance, and the way he approaches things and the way he spoke, and obviously, obviously you guys know him. He just looked at me. He said, "Look, as I gave him looked in the eye, I'm like, have you ever seen anything like this?" And he's just like, "This is extremely rare, especially with my age at 45 and the blood, the 3 PSAs I came back with." So I'm an anomaly. I'm sure we'll get some answers here, but I think the PSMA test will hopefully. Look, I can only go down from here.
It may well do. What is the and who is it that that you're seeing at
Cornell?
Cornell, yeah.
Yeah, his name is Dr. Scheer.
I don't know that I know him. You mentioned your father's urologist. Does your dad have prostate cancer?
Yeah, my dad has a very, 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 very minor case of Gleason 6, and that he got diagnosis when he was 70 something. So
okay,
I wouldn't even really discount that, but I seem anyway. So that's my story, guys. Thanks for listening.
All right, Len, I'm going to go to you first, since isn't Morris and Easton the Dominic Moraci team?
Morris was, but I'm not sure if Dom went to Eastham. Maybe he did, but he's a urologist. He does surgery.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think it was Eastham that did the surgery on Dom, to be honest. But anyway.
Yeah, Eastham's the surgeon, and Morris is the oncologist. So
yeah, the med.
They're sort of teaming up.
Right.
John, how large did you say your prostate was? Did you say it was normal?
Yeah, I don't know the metrics offhand, but they said it was, very normal.
And did they tell you what the free PSA was?
Not sure.
Okay.
Oh, free PSA. What would be the range in that?
Well, I think they consider if it's less than 11% or less than 9%, it's not good. If it's above that, it's more benign.
Yeah. It's 3.7 or something.
Yeah. Okay. So did Morris say anything like, well, it looks like you're probably going to need radiation therapy or surgery or anything like that?
He just went over effectively, with the family history and the extremely high PSA and my young age. He thought that obviously we're going to look at the PSMA test, and he said it will be a very different conversation if it shows something very positive in a bad way. But he was leaning towards the surgery option.
So the PSMA you're talking about for diagnostic purposes, for scanning, did he say PYL, 18F, DCF, PYL?
I don't think so. That's not familiar to me.
He just told you it was a PSMA scan?
Yes, the PSMA scan, which Sloan runs, but I'm not getting it there. I'm getting through Cornell. PSMA test is there's only 2 hospitals in New York that are running it, and or in New York City, and Sloan was all filled, but Cornell was open, and that's where I'm going. I gotta pay $1,000. It's not covered by insurance, and but it's a really, I think, cutting edge technology to get a good look at the cancer.
They told you it's a clinical trial, right?
That's what they said. Yeah. I think
So
they have to do it.
That's good.
FDA approval.
That should give a better indication of where the lesions are, if anything's outside the prostate.
Right.
So you're talking to one of the experts as to where all the PSMA trials are in New York City, just by chance, because Len's been trying to get himself PSMA scanned for the last several months for his recurring disease. So I think he probably knows exactly what you're talking about. Did they mention gallium? Did they say it was a gallium-68 PSMA scan? Does that sound familiar?
Gallium, yeah, that's what it is.
Gallium-68, yeah. Yeah, so the gallium-68 is a very good test. There's probably one that's slightly better that's really hard to come by. And Len's going down to the NIH to get that in about a week after a long haul. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a really smart thing to do for you right now, namely to get that test. Peter, what thoughts do you have in a situation like this?
John, I would not get too excited about the comment that you're an anomaly, because almost all of us are. And this is a very weird disease, and every one of us has issues that are kind of not normal in different ways. It's not a cookie cutter disease, and most of us deal with things and are kind of so yes, you're a little strange and so forth because you're young and PSA, but it's not totally unheard of. Did anybody suggest you? Well, one is, did you get a second opinion on your pathology? Did anybody suggest sending it to Johns Hopkins through Dr. Epstein?
I actually did. I did connect with Dr. Epstein, and he did look at it.
Good, and he concurred it's a 6 with a little bit of 7.
No. So Mount Sinai said 6, and then he changed it to 7, and then Sloan did their own because that's what they do, and they said 7 as well.
Okay, but Epstein didn't see any 4 plus 3 in it. He just saw 3.
No, he said 3 plus 4, but he said there was a lot of cancer, and he thought I need to act.
Okay, good. And did anybody suggest any kind of germline genetic testing at all for you at this point?
Genetic testing, you said?
Yeah, because you're so young. Did anybody make a suggestion to have a swab test, mouth swab test for genetics?
I did. Sorry, can you see me now? Hang on a second. Sorry, is that better?
We can see you now. Yeah, hi.
I did get a genetic test on its own.
You did it on the phone?
No, I'm sorry. I did get a genetic test done at Sloan.
Oh, at Sloan. Did you get a result back?
No, they said 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. It was called in vitro or something like that.
Yeah. So what you had done at Sloan, I think, is their genomic sequencing. Isn't that right, Len? Isn't that the Sloan program? Len? It looks like Len could have frozen. I think Len, oh, now he's back.
All right, I forgot I had muted. Did they mention the acronym IMPACT at Sloan? IMPACT?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I think what they did is that they have their own genomic sequencing. What Peter's talking about is a little bit different, although it will be uncovered by that impact. And what Peter's looking at is to see if you might have inherited anything. And the results that you get from Sloan are going to tell you if you have mutations. They're not going to tell you if they are your mutations or if you've inherited those mutations. In other words, mutations that your body has created or mutations that you inherited. So, you know, my suggestion is at this point, wait and see what the Sloan results are, and then if they are, if you, well, you'll talk to us, and if there are certain results in there, if there were certain results in there, then you might need, it might be important to know if they were inherited or if they were, which is called germline, or if they were created by your own body, which is called somatic.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Do you have any other cancer in your family, John?
Yeah, stomach, colon, my dad has bladder cancer. So there's a bunch of cancer here. I want to just mention one other thing in case the gentleman that's going to go get the PSMA. I think there was a recent report that was published that I read talking about potential false positives on a PSMA. I don't know if you guys caught that. I'm happy to find it and send it over, but something just to be aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we've seen that, and well, I've seen it, and I think Len has, I'll let Len speak for himself, but I've seen it. But the rate of false positives.
Hey, you froze, Rick.
Yeah.
And, by
Rick, you froze up. We missed what you just said. Can you repeat what you said?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. So we're aware of those false positive reports on the PSMA scan. The problem is that most any test has false positives, but the incidence on the PSMA seems to be relatively low compared to other tests. And so I would still have confidence in it. Len, what's your feeling on the issues around the PSMA false positives?
Unfortunately, it was too long ago that I read about the false positives, and I don't recall enough detail to have an opinion on how much of a concern it really is. I'd have to review the article again.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. But I just want to go back to these cancers. It could be that you have some sort of an inherited mutation. There are a couple of cancers that you name there that would make one suspicious. So you just have to let us know. You let us know. I mean, the thing is, even if we said you do a test and you could do a color test for a couple of $100, color.com, it's a good test. But the panel is going to be a lot smaller than the panel that you're getting. The only thing is that you would know whatever they reported could only have come from inherited rather than something that you made yourself. Now, the importance of that is that if you have an inherited mutation, it's in every one of your cells. And if it's in every one of your cells, it can affect how you respond to treatment. But I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's definitely something that you should have on your radar, John. Anybody else want to say anything to John?
Great advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, John, this is Peter again. In your exploration, don't rule out radiation in your situation. If you have to go to treatment, talk to some radiation oncologists. Because if you're a 6 or if you're at Gleason 7, you have options that are less impactful than surgery or long-term radiation. You might be a candidate for brachytherapy or something else. Talk to some of the experts on that and gather some information. You don't have to. I mean, it's not like you've got to make a decision tomorrow on this. You've got some time, and you gather information and talk to the experts as much as possible, and learn about this stuff, because there's a lot of different ways to go. Kind of like climbing a tree. There's different branches, and you got to feel which one. There's no right or wrong situation, but you got to feel comfortable in what you're doing. And also, since you're young, before you take any action, you might want to talk to a doctor about banking sperm, in case you have plans for children later on or more children later on. Doctors forget about talking to you about these things. But when you're 45, you want to think about stuff like this when you're dealing with prostate cancer.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. I do have an 11-year-old, and but I am going to consider doing the sperm bank, and I did cancel my. I had a surgery August 5th, and I canceled it, and I'm just going to wait and get all my options. I appreciate the advice.
Right. The doctor we would recommend that you see at Memorial Sloan Kettering would either be Zielinski, who I think is the head of the department. Zielinski. You know his name.
Yep.
Or we like Boris Muller too, right, Len?
Yes, but he's in New Jersey now, Rick.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. So Zielinski or Muller. I mean, we probably could come up with some other names for you, but yeah, that's. Anyone else like to respond to John before we move on? Okay.
Thanks, guys.
John,
I really appreciate it.
it's a pleasure. Listen, we meet in this group. We meet every week. Peter's group, which he moderates for low and intermediate, meets second and fourth Mondays. We meet first and third Mondays and second and fourth Tuesdays. It's all on our website. If you go to our website, which is ancan.org, you'll find it all there. If you want to put your email address, give it to me here, or you want to put it in a message back to me, we'll put you on our mailing list so you get a reminder each week before our meetings. We're happy to add you. And the other thing I can say, and I think most of the guys on this call would agree, is that some of the most valuable advice you're going to get is from peers. And we will feed you the questions that you need to ask your doctor. I don't know what time you came on, but you might have heard Jim Ward just talking about the fact that he's kind of switched his plans because Jim was diagnosed in his early 50s with metastatic disease, and he's finding out University of Kansas isn't really up to scratch with what they're suggesting, so he's moved to MD Anderson, and a lot of that came out of what we're doing. And we have a pretty good feel for Memorial Sloan Kettering. We've either been patients there or we've worked with patients through there for a long, long time. So we can definitely help navigate you through the process. So this was the first time, but I hope it's not going to be the last.
Thank you. I'll send you my information. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, please send me my information. I'll put my email in the chat window for you right now. So that's another way to go, and you can write to me. But I just sent it to Len. I didn't mean to do that. But don't. This is easy to say, but I don't say it lightly. Which is try not to fret and try and stay in the moment, because the worst thing you can do for yourself is to worry right now, because that compromises your immune system. And the chances are that we'll be by your side and you'll come up with a good solution. And we've got so much knowledge in this group of guys that what we don't know, we can find answers out to, but it's a huge knowledge bank for you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We're going to move along, and I'm going to talk to Jimson James. Jim.
Yeah, let me unmute myself here. Hi.
Hello.
I want to tap into this knowledge bank.
Okay.
I finished my 6 rounds of chemo June 25th, and I started to feel a lot better, but then I had some issues that I wonder if anybody knows about. One is my eyes are, seems like my tear ducts all my tears are coming out the side of my eyes, and they're irritating the edges of my eyes and sticking my eyes shut at night, especially. And I know at PCRI site said that, you know, chemo could affect your eyes that way. Has anybody had experience with that?
Who do we have? Let's see. We've got Larry, we've got Dennis, we've got Ken. Who else has had chemo on this call? I think them's your choices right now. Guys, any issues with your eyes?
I never had any issues with my eyes, but the chemo will go after all in any mucous membranes. And so you could, it's pretty common to expect issues with but you got mucous membranes.
Is there anything, I made an appointment to see an ophthalmologist next week just to double check, but is there anything you could do about it for now?
No, I mean, short of just using eye drops, artificial tears or something like that, just to keep your eyes moist.
Yeah.
I really don't know, but I think that I really like Dennis's point that, the mucous membranes, I think, and Len, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but those are probably the types of cells that divide pretty quickly, so they're more sensitive to chemo. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I got two more.
I'm sure tearing in general is a side effect of chemotherapy. I don't know about the coming out of the sides of the eyes, and I haven't heard that before, but definitely either dryness or excessive tearing is not uncommon.
Okay. I got two other issues too I'll touch on. After chemo, well, my back was hurting, and I did get the CT scan and a bone scan, and it looked like all my lymph glands were clear, which is great. The doctor didn't know, reading the scan, if how the bones, if everything looked good, or if it was just spots that they were seeing was from old activity, or chemo activity, or actually rebuilding activity. So he's saying to do another scan in a few months and watch the PSA. So hopefully the chemo got everything, and I don't have any problems in my bones. They want me to take Zytiga on top of the Lupron, so I'm in the process of doing that. But right after the chemo, my knee kind of started swelling up and hurting. I did have meniscus surgery on it 10 years ago, so it's like a tender spot on me anyway. So I didn't think much about it, but then my ankle is now swollen up. So I didn't know if that is a chemo-related thing also. That's my next question.
Yeah. Let me just recap. So when you started your chemo, you had some pelvic metastasis, correct?
Yeah, I went to UCFS and I had the gallium scan, and it showed that it had spread to lymph nodes and even my spine and possibly my chest. So that's when they suggested starting chemo.
Okay. And And afterwards, you're saying that it didn't show up in the lymph nodes and it didn't show up in the spine either?
They're not sure about the bones exactly yet. They want to,
Okay.
they can't tell.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that it's that they don't see anything in the lymphatic system. I mean, that's a good start. But you'll keep us posted. Now, this issue around the swelling up of joints. Again, I mean, this is really, my knowledge is really basic. So hopefully some of the guys who have had chemo will know more. But I mean, it is definitely an issue during chemo because that's the reason why they put you on steroids.
Yeah.
Or one of the reasons why they put you on steroids. So, you know, I could easily see that when you're done and you stop the steroids, you may still have some side effects. I mean, I don't know enough, but it's certainly something you might want to review with Okazaki or someone like that. About your joints blowing up. Dennis, did you ever have any issues with your joints during chemo?
Not so much with the joints, other than like my lower legs, close to around my ankle. I do have some edema.
Uh-huh.
And I'm on, the prednisone, 5 milligrams a day. But
Oh, that's right, because you're on the Zytiga. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Zytiga.
Yeah. Ken, how about you? Did you have any issues?
You know, Rick, and I can appreciate the question because honestly, I think yes. I can comment about both the eye irritation.
Steroids.
Well, you'll have to when you go
Eye
on.
irritation was something that appeared after like around 3.
Doing chemo, I lowered.
Just hold on a second, Ken, and Ken, you're breaking up on us all really badly. You're hard to hear today.
All right, I'll try to do better.
Okay, that's a bit better. And Jim, if you could just hold your back discussion whilst Ken's speaking, because he's hard to hear.
I'm muted, Jim, Rick.
Okay.
No, he's unmuted himself now.
Okay, go ahead, Ken. Try again.
Well, it was only a comment in regards to joint pain and irritations with your eyes. After the third round of chemo, I did notice, upon sleeping that my eyes became real dried out in the evening or in the morning. So not much you can do about it. In addition to that, I didn't anticipate, but I found that I had joint pain and I thought it was from the Xgeva shots for bone health. But quite honestly, thinking about it now, I think because it lasted about 6 months after chemo and pretty much all of my joints hurt. In bed at night, I found my knees and arms and shoulders all had a bit of pain, which was for me unusual because it wasn't a condition that I caused. From Xgeva, because right now I take Xgeva every month and I don't have joint pain. It was quite honestly, it was a condition created for some reason by chemo.
Right. Larry Fish, how about you with the chemo?
Well, I did get peripheral neuropathy and edema in my feet, my legs. As far as the dry eyes, I'm still 5 years later. Wow, 4.5 years later, I'm still using Refresh Tears as eye drops. I find it better, although it's a brand name. I find that it's better than the other ones that I've tried. I've gone through a bunch, and I usually put some drops in before I go to sleep. And if I get up, which I get up multiple times, if I get up, I might notice my eyes being a little dry. I put it on again, and in the morning I put drops in, even if I feel okay. That seems to help with the dry eyes.
Did your feet get better, or you still
My
have
feet
problems
got
with-
better, but I gained weight after years and years on Lupron, and that returned with the diabetes that I now have. But we're talking about 5 years ago, and I'm talking about gaining another 20 pounds and 25 pounds. And my nails never got better. They got a little better, but I always have like thin nails now on my feet. My hands are okay.
Yeah, my nails are messed up too, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to see how it works.
Yeah, keep them very clean. You know, you don't want to like get unusual toe fungus because your nails are cracked.
Uh-huh.
Clean and dry or whatever.
So, you know, I do think that the joint swelling and the tearing issues are probably definitely side effects of the chemo. How to best remedy them? I mean, this is an issue that you should be able to talk to the oncologist at Kaiser about. And if he's going to put you on Zytiga, then that's going to come with a dose of prednisone. And it may well be, and this was the case for Dennis, that the prednisone helps with some of the swelling and some of the joint pain. So, when do you think they might start you on the Zytiga?
You know, Okazaki is independent. He's from Queens Hospital, not Kaiser, but he put it through. I got a call from CFS, and they said they're going to see if they could, you know, arrange to get a discounted price for me. So I'm not sure when that's going to happen. Pretty soon, I guess.
Okay. Well, keep me posted. Keep me posted on whether they're going to discount, because we do have good contacts with Janssen, so we may be able to help you out there. What are you on? How old are you? I forget.
69.
69. So you are on Medicare, right?
Yeah, original Medicare, and I have a supplement, the United Healthcare supplement.
Okay.
But even with that, the copay, what I was told, is like $5,000 a year for even the generic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it is, because that's what they call the donut hole. But Janssen should be able to help you with that $5,000. And so just keep us posted. I mean, I know both Jake and Peter got their abiraterone through the federal program, so that's probably not going to help you. Is there anybody on here who has gotten Zytiga through United Healthcare?
It's Larry Fish.
Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I didn't start Zytiga yet, but as I've been working with my oncologist, we keep looking at trials for Zytiga and something else. And sometimes just sort of before you go just on pure Zytiga, you can take a look at the range of clinical trials that are around you. I mean, within 200 miles is what I put in, and see what might be something you might be thinking of to do with Zytiga and get into the clinical trial. That could save you that money.
Jim's on the island of Maui, so it's different.
Yeah. All right.
Jerry Pelfrey, you wanted to say something?
Well, you were asking about Zytiga and that, and you know, I've only been on it now 7 months. No, not even 6 months, but I got it actually through Mayo, and I would recommend you talk to your oncologist, or at least where he works. There seem to be a lot of what do you want to call them? Grants or gifts with Zytiga that can really help you significantly once you're past the donut hole. Or in some cases, they may even pay for the donut hole.
Right.
So that's my recommendation.
Right. Well, like I say, keep us posted, keep Peter posted, and then, as and when we know what it's going to cost you, we can see if we can guide you towards any resources.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And since I heard Debbie Pelfrey in the background there, you owe us a return. You owe us a return trip to the Caregivers call, Debbie, just to tell us how well you're doing.
She's doing very well, but right now she's got her earbuds on and she's watching a movie.
Okay. Well, she did it. Tell her to show up tomorrow night so she can tell the ladies how well she's doing. Okay.
All right. I'll do that.
Okay. Okay, Jim, St. James, anything else that we can answer for you?
No, I don't think so. I didn't get the Neulasta shot, the last chemo go around, because I was having back pain. And since then it's gotten better, but I still have lower back pain. And they don't know exactly why. It was bothering me in my leg too, my whole leg. And
Okay.
so it's getting a little bit better, but that Neulasta, I guess, really affected me too, you know, for everybody else who, you know, I don't know. They're not sure if the Neulasta kind of inflamed my back or what, you know, causing maybe nerve, you know, issues going in my leg and around kind of my buttocks and in my groin. I couldn't even walk for a couple of weeks. But that's gotten better. It's just my knee and ankle now. So it's all traveling all over my, you know,
Okay.
sins.
Okay. I have a sneaking suspicion that the prednisone might help you a little bit when you go on to it. So. The other thing is that, and again, review this with your doc, especially if it's going to be an expensive drug for you. That, you know, you can take a quarter of the dose with food. So you can stretch the drug out a lot longer, and there's lots of clinical evidence that it is equivalent.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, they don't tell you this, but we have plenty of evidence. You know, Peter can probably find it for you. We've got links here, but they have done enough studies now to know that you need about, because it's absorbed through the liver, the Zytiga or the abiraterone acetate, that the way that the Zytiga formulates it, you only need about a fourth of the dose. I think that's not true with the generic, right, Jake or Len?
No, I think it is. This is Jerry, but I'm not a pharmacist or knowledgeable about that, but I know that I'm taking the generic from Mayo, and everything I've read, it doesn't matter whether it's the name brand or the generic, and it's a 4-to-1 ratio.
Right.
So one is equal to. But wait, one thing, Rick, you didn't say was, in order to have that happen, you got to have it during breakfast, and what I read was 300 calories.
Okay.
No more.
With food and probably you're right, 300 calories. But yeah, no, you have to take it with food.
There's also Yanza, which is made to be with or without food. Eating it with food is kind of off-label. They don't recommend that because it's like Jerry says, you know, you have to be careful about how much you eat. You know, you can overdo the eating, you can undo the eating. Whereas Yanza, and I'm not even sure if that's commercially available, but Yanza can be taken with or without food. So you have to be careful doing the food thing.
Yeah. But do you take the same dosage with food and without food on the Yanza?
That I don't know.
Yes, I believe you do, Rick. Same dosage, whether you take with or without food. And the dosage is actually half of what the brand name Zytiga.
Right.
So instead of 1,000 milligrams, it's 500 milligrams a day.
Right, because didn't you tell us once that it's because it has smaller particles or something, and it has to do with the particles?
Formulation,
Micro something or other.
micronase formulation, yeah.
Right.
So it's better absorbed.
So it's better. So Jerry, I do think there is a difference with the generic to the Zytiga. I mean, I know the Zytiga works on a quarter of the dose with food, maybe 300 calories, but I don't know if that's true for the generic.
Yeah, I haven't read.
With my generic, they do not say, they say take it on an empty stomach. 1 hour before a meal and 2 hours after. They don't say anything about reducing the dose.
Well, they wouldn't.
But they wouldn't. They want to make money. They want to sell.
What dose are you taking, Jake?
1,000. Wait a minute. 1,000, I think.
Okay, well, 1,000 is the dose. 1,000 is definitely the dose for Zytiga, and 250 if you take it with food. That's what the studies found to be equivalent.
That's the same thing for me. 250 times 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna meet with Turner tomorrow morning, and I know he is giving people quarter doses for economic reasons. And I'm gonna ask him what his experience is with other guys with quarter.
With the generic?
Well, I'll ask him about the generic too. I don't know, but I know that in the past, people that couldn't afford it, he's put on quarter doses. He's told me that. We'll see.
Okay. So you're meeting with him by phone, I'm assuming, Peter.
No, I'm flying to LA tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The other thing that came to me, this might be off the wall, but I want to invoke the spirit of Jim Cameron. He had a lot of eye trouble a couple of years ago, and I thought we pinned that to this barometric pressure thing or something, but I don't know whether it was chemo related or not. But he seemed to have a lot of eye problems.
You're right, Peter. He was in that barometric pressure chamber.
Yeah. The
eye problem.
Looks like we lost Jim Kubat. I'll send him an email after the meeting.
Well, he also, Venice Jim also had melanoma of the eye.
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing to do with chemo.
No. It was not to do. It was not to do with chemo. Okay, so Jimson James, there's a bunch of issues there with respect to the formulation take of the abiraterone acetate, and Peter's on that, so he'll let you know what Turner says. But there may be an alternative to stretch it out if you're on the Zytiga, and we're not really sure how you adjust the dose, or if you adjust the dose if you're on the Yonza, which is the generic.
Yeah, I'll be talking tomorrow with Dr. Borno from UCFS, just as a phone call appointment. So I'll be asking her what she suggests too.
Okay, well, you can raise that equivalence with her, because I think that might be one of the places they did the trial, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, it's where I had the scan trial, the gallium-68.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Okay. All right. So I think, Jim Kubat had to leave. So I'm sorry about that. We didn't get to him, but I will ask him what's on his mind. So we still have Paul, Les, and Ken Anderson. So let's go Les, Ken, and then Paul, or Paul. Is that okay? Paul, can you hang in?
Yeah, no problem. Mine's not, urgent at all.
Okay, so let's go Les first, and then Ken, and then Paul.
Okay, just a quick question. Dr. Kwan took me off of Lupron. I was supposed to have been on what he had said for at least 2 years after my cryoablation, but because of my extreme lack of endurance, he decided to take me off now. The question I had, my testosterone level was undetectable at less than 7, even now. If after 4 months it's still undetectable, how many months is it going to take beyond that before there will be any movement, any rise in the testosterone? Do you have any concept of that?
So there's been a lot of studies on that, Les. I remember years ago looking at them. You know, it really depends on every man. Do you know what your testosterone level was when you went on, before you went on hormone therapy, your baseline testosterone?
No, they hadn't done it all the time. The highest was, like, I don't know, 350 or something at one time before I went back on Lupron, but I'm not sure exactly what it was before I started.
Okay. But before you restarted the Lupron, your testosterone was measured at around 350?
Yeah, somewhere in there, yes.
Okay. Well, you know, it's a function of age. It's a function of what you had. But I mean, I know guys that have just had really slow recoveries in their testosterone. I think there may be some people on this call right now that fit into that bill. Anybody want to talk about testosterone recovery?
Peter, you're muted. You're muted, Peter.
Mine came back less at 3 to 4 months. This is the third time it's done that because I'm on intermittent, and it's now at I think it's at 221 last week. So it's
Hey, how long have you been off now?
Now I've been off 6 months. But it started showing up again. And very low. First it came up at 45. A month later, 160, and then last week it was 221. So it's coming back.
Okay, good enough. That's enough. I appreciate the input.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when did you actually stop the? When did Kwan take you off the Lupron?
Well, just now. My last shot was, it was supposed to be a 4-month shot, and it was a little over 4 months since I had the last one. So now, just a few days ago, it took me off.
Okay. So, you know, I would say that you can. I know in my own case, I didn't see any increase in my testosterone for at least 3 to 4 months, and I was a lot younger. So it's gonna be. It doesn't come back that quickly, Les.
Okay.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Have you talked to your urologist about the nocturia?
No.
And are you still getting up several times a night?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I just think you've got to do that because a lot of your fatigue issue is around you getting poor sleep and very broken up sleep. And one of the reasons for that is your nocturia. And you know, we just have to encourage you to talk to the urologist about that, see what they can do, because that might, you know, be a miracle cure for you.
What is nocturia? I get up all the time too.
Nocturia is frequent peeing during the night.
I just wake up. I don't have to pee that much, but I just wake up and I go pee, but then I go back to sleep and I get up an hour later.
Right. So
I've got
what's
the same
waking?
problem during the day too.
Right. So what's waking you up, Jim, is likely the Lupron, the hormone therapy. And what's happening is that you're getting these like mini hot sweats that you don't even realize, but they're enough to wake you up.
Yeah, I get them at night too. Yeah.
Right. And so there are issues, next week, put it back in that one back on your wallet and raise it next week. We can talk about some of the issues and what you can do about that. It's definitely something also you should be speaking to Okazaki about. But the issue that Les is facing during the day and at night is frequent peeing. And so we've encouraged him to talk to his urologist so that he can get some relief from that. And part of that relief can be much better sleep and less fatigue.
What kind of relief does urologist give you? Medicines you're talking about?
Right.
Rick, isn't one of the medicines Flomax?
I thought, yes, I think you're right. No, I don't know. Is Flomax to release the tension on your bladder, Len?
Yes.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. You might be thinking of Mirbetriq. It's one of the more recent ones.
Right, Mirbetriq, right. Detrol.
What is Rapaflow for? I was taking Rapaflow for a while. That was something to do with urination. But I can't remember what it was for.
Oh, is that over the counter?
No, it was a prescription.
Rapaflow, I don't know. We'd have to look it up. Len's.
Anyway, I had talked to my family doctor about that. I haven't seen my local urologist yet. Not sure when that appointment's coming up.
Okay. What did your family doctor say about trying to help you with them?
Frankly, not much.
Okay. I don't know why, because there's a lot of stuff they can do. We don't really want to give you a list of meds to go in and say, can we take this, that, or the other? Because they should know this is not complex stuff. And if you're waking up 5 or 6 times a night, they should be able to treat you.
The Rapaflow is the same as Flomax, Rick. The same type of drug.
Okay. Well,
I was taking that at one time, and I didn't think it had done me any good. I had taken it for some time, and finally told the doctor that I don't see any change, so he just took me off.
Well, there are a lot of different drugs. I mean, Detrol LA is a pretty good drug that I know men have had success with. That's spelled, I think, Dettrol, Detrol LA. The LA is long acting. And the Mirbetriq is a more expensive drug, but it's supposed to be really good. And it works on reducing the spasms in the bladder and relaxes the bladder. But this isn't really my area of expertise. But I do know that a good doctor should be able to help you with this. And I would bet dollars to donuts that your fatigue issue is strongly related to your poor sleep pattern.
Yeah, I will continue to pursue that. Thank you.
Okay. And Les, you know we're going to continue to ask you, so I'm just saying, right? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to suggest to Les regarding this nocturia issue?
Yeah, I could add something. You know, when I had my BPH, or my enlarged prostate, before the cancer was discovered, I suffered for 5 or 6 years of you know, intense need to urinate during the night. And so the way I solved that, instead of having to get up and walk all the way over to the bathroom, I just kept a kind of a small bucket near the bed, and I would just roll over and relieve myself, and then go back to sleep. I assume you've done something like that, right?
No, we're not too far from the bathroom, so I'm able to get over there and get back, as long as I don't do too much of anything else to actually really wake me up. I usually get back to sleep.
I found it a real nuisance to have to get up and walk all the way over to the bathroom and then come back and do that 2 or 3 times a night. So I just cut off the top of a 2-liter water bottle, and I would just sit at the side of the bed, and I would just roll over, and you know, and then in the morning I pick it up and go up, you know, drop it in the toilet. I don't know. That might save you the walking and relieve a lot of the stress of the you know, of the condition. Just a suggestion.
Okay. Ken Anderson. Tell us what's going on, Mr. Anderson.
Well, tonight's been interesting because I would think the guy that has back fatigue, it's due to loop run. And for sure, Lee, I mean, without a good night's sleep, you're going to be tired during the day and you're not going to function. I mean, the only way I found to sleep at night was in the beginning when I started the loop run, I found, you know, I couldn't sleep. Maybe it was a combination of finding out I had cancer or whatever the reason. You know, I had to take like an antidepressant to sleep at night. Because if I found myself, if I stayed awake 3 or 4 nights in a row, the next, I just couldn't function at all. And fatigue became a huge issue. And until I found the happy medium, sometimes I have to smoke pot to go to sleep. You know, it's something I would have never, ever imagined myself doing, but we all do what we have to do. So, even last night.
You're breaking up again, Ken. We need to get you closer to that microphone.
I'll try to get closer to it. I mean, even last night, you know, I found my test results from the labs came back and my PSA was a little higher. So the higher number created anxiety. So I smoked pot and went right to sleep. Slept all night and got up and I felt, you know, not great, but better. So I would say work hard on getting a good night's sleep and exercise, because without moving, your muscle mass just goes away. If you don't have any testosterone, your muscle mass goes away. No way around it. For the guy who back pain, testosterone and having, you know, no muscle. I mean, I dealt with that for 2 years or a year and a half in the beginning, and I found, you know, dealing with it the best way is to not overcome you. You have to get up and get your butt moved. And exercise, fatigue in your back, doesn't exercise, the fatigue becomes less.
Right.
My test report came back at 2.27, and my testosterone came back at 15.
So, sorry, but again,
I'm having a really hard
trouble.
time hearing Ken.
Yeah, me too.
My laptop, it's sitting on my desk, and I'm trying to get close to the mic, I think.
It might be, it could be a bad connection, but what last time when you said you would do something, whatever you did worked great because we could hear you.
Okay, what I did last time, I'll do it right now. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Whatever you did last time.
I'm having a really hard time hearing Ken.
Whatever you did last time.
Can you hear me?
Whatever you did last time. 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 Whatever you
time to go to the next guy, Rick, and come back, and I'll do what I did last time.
Yeah, or call in. Just call in, and because we really want to hear what's going on with this PSA and the testosterone and next steps. Okay, let's go to Paul Frieda, and then we'll return to Ken in a moment. Paul, what's on your mind?
Oh, just an update. I got my recent blood test, and my testosterone's continuing to go up. Just the background, I went off Lupron August last year, so almost a year, and it was in May. The testosterone went to 40, and this time it's at 94. But the good news is the PSA is still less than 0.1. And so I have a question for Len and Peter or anybody else that's been on intermittent, and that is, at what point did you jump back on it? First question is, did your testosterone ever level out at a normal level before you had to jump back on the Lupron? And my second question would be, at what PSA level did your oncologist advise that you jump back on the Lupron?
Well, my first drug holiday, my PSA went from 0.19 to 10.9 before my oncologist put me back on.
Had your testosterone fully recovered?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, my testosterone is still only 94. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's a good sign, though, that you're still less than 0.1 and your T levels are rising. Now, the second time around, after I had radiation therapy, my PSA has risen from 0.1 to the last one was 1.8. But I've been on drug holiday now for 28 months.
Wow.
And so I'm about to get scanned down at the NIH, as you may have heard Rick mention earlier. Now that the PSA is getting more appropriate to show something on the scans. But just to give you an idea, I mean, my T levels are at 800, and they have been for over a year. So, there's no hard and fast rule. It all depends on how rapidly your PSA is rising, how comfortable you are staying on drug holiday. That's an individual decision that you make with your oncologist. I'd say, you probably have a long run ahead of you based on what I've heard so far.
What's your PSA right now, Len?
1.8.
Yeah. And Peter, do you want to talk about your recovery and when you went back on it?
Yeah, Paul, because I've had a prostatectomy, that was my first treatment of surgery. My PSA is very low, so I get the ultra sensitive one. The first time I looked at absolute numbers, and I think I went for further treatment when it was about 2.0, something like that. The second time, because I've had radiation and so forth, I wasn't looking at the absolute number, I was looking at the doubling time, and it was jumping quite a bit, pretty fast, doubling every 6 weeks. And that's why I went.
Peter, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Rick, he's talking. We can hear him. We can hear you.
Len, is it me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Or you can't hear Peter, Rick?
Peter, we seem to have lost you.
No, I can hear him.
I can hear him too.
So can other people on the call hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
That's a nod, but I'm not hearing anything. I'm wondering if my I've lost my volume here. I seem to have suddenly lost my sound.
I can hear you. I just don't see Peter.
Can you hear me? I wasn't speaking. I'm
Then
speaking.
why don't you take over? I think it's something going on with my machine.
Yeah, Peter, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, Paul. So now my testosterone is coming back. It's up to 221. It levels out around between 3 and 4. But my PSA is pretty low. It jumped up like 5/100ths a month and a half ago. The other day it only went up 1/100th. So I'm a happy camper. It's creeping up very slowly. So I'm hoping I can stay on intermittent for at least till the end of the year, if not longer. I'll just keep watching it, see if it starts, if it's doubling, because for me that's the indication that something's on the move, like lymph nodes or something like that, like last time. So it's not I just monitor it every month. So happy camper. I have my energy back and things are going well.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sorry about that, guys. I had a little issue with it was operator error. So Paul, do you feel like you've gotten some good guidance from Len and from Peter?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Thank you very much for the feedback.
Okay. So, you know, if your PSA is coming back at 94 and you've been off a year now, your T's coming back at 94, you've been off a year and your PSA is still at 0.1, those are really great signs. And even though I know you'd like your testosterone to come back quicker, I mean, maybe it was you that I was thinking about earlier on when Les asked me about how quickly does your testosterone come back. So Les, there you go. I mean, there's a good example that Paul, and how old are you now, Paul? 71? 72. So you know, Paul at 72 has gone up to 94, having been on Lupron for about 3 years. So that's a really good example of how your testosterone recovers. Yes, go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was just going to add, I'm a Gleason 4/4.
Right. Which is great that you're still at 0.1. So, you know, it's all good.
Yeah, let's hope it stays there for a while.
Right. Okay, Ken, are you back with us?
Yep. Yep. Now I think I'm at a better place. You can hear.
We can hear you perfectly.
So let's move on to the lab results and my comment with my discussion with Paul. So lab results were, my PSA rose from 1.17 40 days ago to 2.26.
Okay.
So now that I'm above 2, I put in a question to Paul Korn, asked him whether or not MD Anderson, you know, Allison or anyone there had any clinical trials that might be appropriate for me. And he's going to get back with me tomorrow. My testosterone level, like normal, after, you know, 70 days on Lupron, kind of at the end of the 90-day cycle, my T levels have gone up from 8 to 13. So I'm sure my next shot will take it back down to 6 or 7. I'm not sure why the Lupron can't hold for the 90 days, but it doesn't seem to. I have scheduled Provenge to start on the 26th of this month. I'm hoping to finish by the middle to the end of August. At which time I hope to get out of Arizona for a couple months because it's so damn hot.
Mm-hmm. And what about second line anti-androgen?
I know Paul's The comment from Paul was that he was okay with me waiting to start the second line until my PSA reaches 3.
Okay.
So
Okay.
probably a month and a half, 2 months, it'll be at 3. I don't know. And again, I'm pretty confident I'm not going to see any decline in PSA after Provenge. And maybe I'll go to MD Anderson and not to the Northwest. I don't know. But I would like to try some clinical trial if in fact there's something that would be advantageous to do.
Sure. Well, I mean, the trial that I'd love to see you try would be a lutetium trial if there was one available, because you're pretty healthy, and it would be a great time to do a lutetium trial if you could find one.
All right. I'm sure. I mean, if they're doing anything at MD Anderson and again, Paul's one, if there's a trial someplace that's not in Houston, he'll direct me wherever he thinks the appropriate trial is. So it could be in Seattle or Portland or who knows. So if it's a lutetium trial that you think is best, he'll probably come back with the exact same thing at a different location if he doesn't offer it.
Right. Len, what are your thoughts on trials right now for Ken?
I like your idea, Rick, of the lutetium. I think Ken should have a discussion with Paul about that.
Great.
Good option.
The other issues, I'm just going back. When did you got sequenced, right? Or not? You did a long time ago.
Yeah, I got sequenced in the very beginning, and I haven't had, anything sequenced recently to find out whether or not anything's changed. Because they'd have to go in and get it from a lymph node I did have Foundation One, did a genomic test. I didn't find anything. It was
right,
5 months ago.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a possibility. I guess it might be,
Yeah, I see it here. Yeah, that I've got it back around the end of the year that they TP53 and they couldn't measure your MSI. You see that the reason I'm asking is because some of these trials, if we knew you had some of the markers that the drugs respond to, that would be good. But if you don't have any of these markers, then the lutetium doesn't really depend on markers.
Right.
And that's why it comes to me, if you something like pembrolizumab or something, one of the other precision meds, you got to have markers in there. I mean, you're not clearly a candidate for a PARP inhibitor or anti-PDL or anything like that. And that's what I'm sort of.
It's funny you say that, because the comment from Paul the last time I chatted with him was, in his mind, even though I don't have those markers, he sees, and MD Anderson sees, that I should try a PARP inhibitor like Keytruda.
Well, Keytruda is not a PARP inhibitor, but it's
pembrolizumab. What is Keytruda then?
Keytruda is is a PDL1, anti-PDL1 drug.
Well, that's the one he had commented on, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And this is why you're with one of the best doctors in the country, because he has that experience where he sees people like you and he thinks he's got a hunch that pembrolizumab would be a good drug. And if you trust your doc, that's why you go with it, even though there's nothing clear. And
the doc local here said absolutely not, but I'm telling her that it's not truly her call. So
right. The thing that I've got in my notes is FMI said they couldn't measure your microsatellite instability. They didn't say you had low or high. They said they couldn't measure it. And you know, that's what we'd be looking at to know if you're a candidate. But there again, you know, my money's on Paul Korn and not the community oncologist in Phoenix. So, see what he suggests.
Yep, I'm gonna try to fit him in the next maybe a month and a half from now, to go down and sit and chat with him. So I know Jim's gonna be there, so I'll try to fit it in and go have a visit with Jim wherever the hell he's at.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. That would be good. Maybe you could do a visit with Jim Allison as well.
Yep.
That would be great.
Okay, well that's pretty much it for me.
Anybody want to talk to Ken, or any ideas or thoughts?
Oh, I did want to let you know that I'll have the 1,000-word document that you requested in the next couple of days.
Fantastic. Everybody's eager to read it. That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
What is that? His trip in the Northwest, his hiking?
Yes, it's going to go on the blog.
Oh, great.
With pictures, with great pictures.
Fantastic. Look forward to it, Ken.
Great.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts for Ken? Okay. Well, we got around everybody except Jim Kubat. I feel badly about that, but I'll drop him a line and I'll see what's on his mind and see how we can help him. Next meeting will be on the 23rd, next Tuesday. And provided that we haven't all shriveled up here in Arizona, the Arizona crew will be back with you. So we'll talk to you then. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Aloha.